Marcus gripped the steering wheel of a car that wasn't there, at least not to anyone looking. The dashboard glowed with an eerie blue light, the only confirmation that he was actually sitting in 2 tons of advanced military hardware worth more than most people earned in a lifetime. The briefcase in the passenger seat contained $10 million in unmarked bills. His payment for one night's work, $500,000 up front, another $500,000 on delivery. The rest belonged to the crew who just robbed the Continental Reserve Bank with military precision and insider information that suggested someone very high up was involved. Marcus was a thug, a criminal, a man who'd made peace with his choices years ago. But he was also the best getaway driver in 3 states, and tonight he was driving something that shouldn't exist. The car was a prototype codenamed Phantom, developed for covert military operations. Its cloaking device used metamaterial panels that bent light around the vehicle's frame, rendering it effectively invisible to the naked eye. Cameras saw distorted air like heat shimmer, radar pinged, and found nothing. To the world, the Phantom was a ghost. But ghosts, Marcus had learned, had limitations. The cloaking device drew enormous power, enough that the battery could only sustain it for 8 hours on a full charge. The metamaterials required specific wavelengths of light to function properly. Sunlight, with its full spectrum and intensity, overwhelmed the system completely. At dawn, the Phantom would become visible, just another car, and Marcus would become just another criminal. He checked the dashboard clock, 4:47 a.m. Sunrise was at 6:23 a.m. He had 1 hour and 36 minutes to travel 93 miles through a city on lockdown. The police had responded to the bank robbery with overwhelming force. Every major intersection had checkpoints. Helicopters thundered overhead, their spotlights cutting through the darkness like blades. The entire metro area was essentially under martial law, but they were looking for a car they could see. The Phantom's engine was specially muffled. Its exhaust vented through cooling chambers that dissipated heat before it could create a visible signature. He was a ghost passing through the living world. All units suspect vehicle may be a dark sedan. Last seen heading north on Chambers Street, the police radio crackled. Marcus had a scanner tuned to their frequency, listening to them chase shadows and false leads. The money represented everything Marcus had been working toward. One more job, he'd told himself. One final score, and he could disappear, leave this life behind. His daughter, the one he'd lost custody of 5 years ago, when his ex-wife presented evidence of his criminal connections to the court, was starting college next year. With this money, he could set up a trust fund anonymously, ensure she'd never struggle the way he had. But first, he had to reach the drop point before sunrise. 5:14 a.m. The highway stretched before him, empty lanes that he traveled like a phantom. In his rearview mirror, he could see the city lights beginning to fade, the sky shifting from black to deep blue at the edges. Then his phone rang. Problem, the voice on the other end said. It was Victor, the mastermind behind the heist, a former intelligence operative who'd gone private sector. Police found our safe house. They're sweeping every known location. The drop point is compromised. Marcus felt ice in his veins. What's the new plan? There isn't one. You need to disappear. Keep the money moving until we can set up a new exchange. Sunrise is in 68 minutes. Then, you'd better drive fast. The line went dead. Marcus made a split-second decision. He couldn't outrun sunrise, but he could hide in plain sight. The city's main transit center had a massive multi-level parking garage, floors thousands of vehicles, a labyrinth of concrete and steel, 6:11 a.m., 12 minutes until sunrise. The metamaterial panels relaxed, no longer bending light, and suddenly the Phantom was just a car sleek, black sedan with government plates that someone had very carefully scratched off. Marcus grabbed the briefcase, changed into civilian clothes he'd stashed in the trunk, and walked away from the vehicle. He looked like any other early morning commuter, just a guy heading to work before the rush started. Below him, he could hear sirens, dozens of them. Police cars were flooding into the parking garage, responding to an anonymous tip that the suspect vehicle had been spotted in the area. Marcus watched from the pedestrian walkway as they swarmed level 3, exactly where he'd planted a false lead by making a brief stop on his way up. The sun broke over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Marcus smiled. They'd never find the Phantom. He walked to a nearby coffee shop, ordered an espresso, and sat by the window. The briefcase rested against his leg, $10 million in a world that had stopped looking for it. Three days later, he retrieved the Phantom from the garage and delivered it and the money to Victor's new location. His payment cleared into an offshore account that same afternoon. The rest he invested in legitimate businesses under false names. He'd promised himself one last job, and he'd kept that promise. The invisible car had given him the perfect escape. But it was his understanding of human nature, the way people see what they expect to see, that had truly saved him. Sometimes the best invisibility isn't technological, it's psychological.